Hey guys, welcome back to the main man's channel. So today's video is another review of Peacemaker episode 6, Murn After Reading. What a title for a name. But I absolutely love it. But anyways, guys, this episode just gets crazier and crazier each and every episode. It's just insane. I'll be real with you guys, man. I mean, if you guys aren't really enjoying it, I don't know what to tell you, man. Maybe you guys don't like superhero shows. Maybe good storytelling. I don't know what to tell you, but this episode just gets crazy. There's a lot of twist and turning happening, and I'll be real with you guys. I don't really think we're gonna get a conclusion by the end of this season. I really do think that James Gunn is possibly gonna save most of the things for season two, and I have a feeling, even though I don't want this to happen, I got a feeling it's gonna end on a cliffhanger. Like I have this feeling. But anyways, guys, so if you guys never seen any of my reviews, I highly suggest going back, check out my previous reviews for the review kind of breakdown I like to do. I like to break down some of the biggest points that really happened. Episode 5, I really talked about most of everything that happened. I do skip like the minor stuff, like them telling jokes or whatever. Like I try to pick out the most important things that happen. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I do include it, like some of the minor things. But if it's like something I find interesting that happens in the show, I talk about it. But anyways, the show really opens up with the aftermath from episode 5, with Leota finding out that Murn is a butterfly, and then we also find out that Hardcore and Economos knows that Murn is a butterfly, which is absolutely crazy. Then they mentioned that the butterfly that I mean, we kind of knew this, but at first I totally forgot that because we forgot that Peacemaker has the butterfly in his house, which I didn't forget about that, but I totally forgot that the leader is that butterfly, that it's named Golf, which is really, really interesting. And then Murn has kind of like a breakdown talking to Leota as well. We also find out that that they're basically inhabited the Earth and trying to make Earth their new home, basically. And we kind of don't know if the butterflies are good or bad. I think this episode towards the end solidified that the butterflies are kind of bad because of Murn. The reason why I said possibly good is because Murn is helping the crew out, and I thought it was gonna be like a twist of him basically coming out and him being like the bad butterfly, basically. But turns out that he's kind of helping them out in the process. Which, if you watch my previous reviews, you guys know that I was questioning whether or not he was gonna help them or not, or if he was gonna turn on them eventually. But I think this solidifies him being the good one. One thing that I did find really interesting with Murn is that he said that he picked the worst inhabited, or he inhabited the worst person he could find, which is really, really interesting. So I want to know more. And then he's like, he could feel the guy's thoughts, because obviously, he's a butterfly, so he's in the guy's brain. But he could say he could feel his emotions, he could see his memories and all that. Really interesting about who the backstory about who this Murn guy is, because obviously he's not really Murn, if you guys catch my drift. Anyways, but that was possibly one of the biggest openings, to find out that Economos and Hardcore are probably already knew, because Hardcore was like, yeah, I saw this bomb blow up in this guy's face, and somehow he survived it. So I probably know that he was probably a butterfly. Really interesting that they decided to keep that on the wraps to most of the operation. Obviously, they don't want Peacemaker to find out that he was a butterfly, because obviously Peacemaker's killing all the butterflies. So they possibly didn't want him to react to him. But we definitely see a clash eventually when he finds out, because he's starting to put two and two together with things are that's happening, and the crew is keeping a lot of things on wraps from him, and he doesn't like that at all. Anyways, the a next big thing that happened in there was Peacemaker talking to this class. Now, why is that big? Well, because a lot of things they mentioned in there, which was pretty funny. Obviously, he brings up Kite Man again, about him telling this young, I don't know what grade they're in, probably second, third, or whatever. But he tells this young kids class that he took down Kite Man, and it was funny because they all had smart remarks to them, and he was calling them out by their name, or he was calling them out of their names, which was pretty funny. But one interesting thing that this one person said, this one little girl said to him, and she's like, "Do you remember Becky Coolidge?" And he's like, "No, I don't know who she is." And she's like, "Yeah, I think you're my father." And I was like, "What? Peacemaker has a kid?" So I don't know if that was made for as a joke, or the little kid was being serious when she told him that. But possibly in the future, a little Peacemaker running around. Who knows? But anyways, I thought that was pretty funny and pretty cool moment as well. If he does have a kid, which would be really really interesting. Um, but then it leads into the big major things that happen in the show as well. So it leads from Augie Smith, which is Peacemaker's father, gets released from jail because Detective Song had new evidence showing that he is innocent. I mean, he was innocent the whole time, but Captain Locke made sure that he wasn't let go. But she brought forth some information, and she got the go ahead from her uncle, so that he could get released, and eventually he did. So when Augie gets picked up by his henchmen when he got released, because Detective Song tells Fitzbiggins, I believe that's how you say it, that's our partner, that they're gonna do the raid. So when Augie goes and gets released, one of his KKK henchmen picked him up, and he tells the henchman he's gonna kill his effing kid, which is really really interesting. But that adds another conflict for them as well, and then it leads into things just hitting the fan after that. After that, it just gets really really intense as well. So obviously the police is getting ready for the raid. Um, the butterfly golf, the leader in the so Peacemaker is looking at this butterfly. He feeds it this goop or whatever, and then interesting enough, him and Vigilante are having this conversation. Vigilante comes out of nowhere like he normally does. They're having this conversation, and then they hear this noise, and they look, and they're seeing the butterfly draw a Peacemaker sign on the glass. Really, really interesting. So now they know that maybe this butterfly is really intelligent, which is really, really, really interesting for me as well. So there is that. But then next thing you know, Captain Locke calls Murn and tells him, "Hey, warn Peacemaker that his crib's about to get raided." So he tries to call them or whatever, but it was too late. So they eventually get inside the crib. There's a hatch that that they escaped out of as well. So they're basically hiding in the trees. One of the cops notices a hawk that just flies out of the roof. So obviously they know that maybe somebody's around. So one Detective Song goes towards the back of the woods where he lives at, and then they hear Vigilante fall, and when he falls, the butterfly golf, the container that the golf is in, gets broken because he falls on it because he strapped it towards his back as well. And Golf gets released and goes inside Detective Song, which was really, really interesting. And it was really graphic. Like for some people, you might have to turn your head because it goes inside and she starts bleeding out of the mouth. I mean, it was really, really messed up as well. And then all mayhem breaks loose. So they start to run towards the try to get away from the cops. The cops are chasing them, and then the most badass thing happened in the episode is when Eagly comes down and was attacking some cops. I mean, there was one part where would Eagly attack this cop and start like chewing out his eyeball, and I was like, oh my god. It was, I mean, I think they've been keeping Eagly on the wraps. You know, I was afraid they were going to use more him more as a gimmick, basically. But every time he shows up and he does something crazy like that, I absolutely love it. So I think this was really really cool. If you guys don't know, Eagly is Peacemaker's pet bird, who's the eagle. So there's that as well. But it gets to them when it gets surrounded, and then out of nowhere, Captain Lock comes out of there and saves him, shoots this guy in the head. And then Peacemaker, who's starting to feel more affectionate towards other people, realizes like, yo, why did Captain Lock just wasted this guy for no reason? Especially when he was unconscious, he was already out. He just goes up and just starts shooting the cops that was already on the ground, which was really really interesting as well. So that leads to that he gives them a car so they can escape. So they escape. They go back to the hideout as well, and then it leads to Sophie, who's now Sophie Song, Detective Song, who is now the Butterfly, and her talking to Fitzgibbon. Now, the one thing that I do find really really interesting is why is Fitzgibbon not putting things together, especially when the way she's talking. I mean, obviously they don't know anything about the butterflies yet, but the way she was talking, calling him like human or whatever, obviously something's really, really wrong with her. You know, she has blood on her face as well. Like he should have did a little bit more detective work, especially for him being a detective and the way she was talking to him and talking in third person basically. Um, so it was kind of weird. I'm like, man, he for being a detective, you're not really that great. So there was that as well. So then they go into the debriefing. Peacemaker's already pissed off from what's happened as well. And then that's when all of them are keeping the wraps on it. One thing that really pisses him off is that they mentioned this ranch and then how there was a cow that's giving them the goop or whatever, and where they're getting the goop from. And one thing that Peacemaker put together, because sometimes he says like, "Oh yeah, you guys think we're stupid," and then Vigilante goes and say something stupid, but he still knows his thing as well. And then Peacemaker puts two and two together because they're like, how do you know so much information about the location of this cow and what this cow is? Like, how do you guys know that? So he's starting to put two and two together. He's starting to figure things out as well. So that's really, really interesting. I could see him clashing with the crew as well. Also, where the hell is Judo Master? Where who's like where's he at? Like what's happening? I know he got shot. I know he was on IV or whatever, but I don't know. Why are they keeping him on the wraps? Which is really really interesting as well. So there's that. I mean, and then for him being in the intro, I really thought he was gonna help the crew out eventually, but I don't think that's gonna happen anytime soon. So there's that as well. Then it leads back to Detective Song sitting in this open field, and the most beautiful scene happens is when she just sitting in the field. Obviously, she's the butterfly now, and then she gets her crew together, or I wouldn't even call it her crew, her army together, and then here comes this whole swarm of mini spaceships, and all of them is continuing. First, they look um like lanterns like coming out of the forest or whatever, and then I forget the name of those bugs, but you guys know what I'm talking about. Then they come out, it's all butterflies. Then she leads the butterfly army into the police station, the best thing she could do, and she gets a whole army of not just the prison, or not just the cops and detectives and all that, but she gets the prisoners as well for her army, and I was like, oh my god, like things are gonna hit the fan. Now, now it's like a global threat. Now, like she's powerful already, so there's that as well. But like, it's really interesting. I wonder if some actual superheroes besides Peacemaker or some other Suicide Squad characters might show up towards the end and help them. Like this is major. Like this is crazy that's happening. Like it's real threat level type thing. And I wonder if other superheroes might get involved as well, because this is really really interesting. And like I know Peacemaker is doing a lot of things and whatever. They did mention, I forgot to mention in that class, he did say that he met the Flash, which is really really interesting, because there was a lot of scenes, especially when he said he meets a lot of these characters, or a lot of like these big superheroes and villains and whatever. Where are these guys at? You know, where are these heroes at? Like they need to be doing something. Like there should be like some type of news article or whatever every episode to show like something has to be happening. I mean, this is like huge alien level threat, world threat dominance that's happening, and like you mean to tell me nobody's around when all this is happening? And that's the one thing I have a grip with when it comes down to superhero movies or TV shows as well. It's like, where's these other heroes at? Like you mean to tell me Batman or Superman or somebody in the Justice League is not knowing what's happening? But anyways, especially with the news that's happening as well. And what I mean by that as well is Detective Song. Um, no. We're not gonna talk about that right now. But anyways, it leads out to as well as, so it's Augie is out of jail, right? So he bones some chick or whatever. Then he gets his followers to go and put on the white dragon suit, and I'm like, oh my god, he's gonna eventually attack Peacemaker, which is crazy. So not only does Peacemaker have to worry about the butterflies, and the crew has to worry about the butterflies, but now they got their father, who's on another level threat as well, and his followers, his white supremacist group, that's gonna attack him, and he doesn't even know that's gonna happen, which is crazy. So he's gonna get blindsided by his own father, which is crazy. So I can't wait till him. And then the suit is badass. I mean, I don't, obviously I don't like what they stand for or whatever, you know, because they're all racist pieces of s, if you guys know what I'm talking about. But the suit of him dressing up in the suit, being a badass, and you know, eventually they're gonna clash as well. And the way James Gunn has been directing, he only didn't direct 2 episodes, but he wrote most of the show. um I can't wait for that clash, man. I'm gonna be real with you, man. So there's that as well. Then it leads into this cool little scene with Peacemaker playing the piano as well. You know, him, you could feel the aggression when he's playing the piano. Really cool moment as well. Not really a big major thing that happened, but if you think about it, kind of is, because it's like him showing his emotions, and you know, him calming himself down just a little bit as well. He has another interaction with Hardcore as well. They're eventually gonna be a thing eventually, unless it really pisses him off that Hardcore was keeping that big secret from him, knowing that Murn was is a butterfly as well. So we could definitely see that class. Um, Also, another big moment with that interaction as well is that he tells Hardcore that he, excuse me, that he doesn't want to kill people anymore. But she's like, like, you know, right now is a bad time for you to come out with that. But he didn't say butterflies, he said people. But people technically are butterflies. They just have a butterfly in their head. But the way to kill them is blow off their head eventually. We don't know if you could actually take them out of somebody's body yet. So there's that as well. But really, really big moment. She reveals her first name is Amelia as well. So there was that. But that was really the big thing that happened in that scene as well. And then towards the end, which is the huge gist, because um, Vigilante goes up to Peacemaker and tells him hey man, so you know that diary that Leota stashed in his house last episode? Well, apparently that's gonna come back to bite Leota and Peacemaker in the ass because first of all, Peacemaker doesn't even know the diary was in it. So he's like, "Diary? What are you talking about? I don't have a diary." And then it has so it was really really interesting because Amanda Waller wanted Leota to plant this diary in her house, but on the diary has the whole plans of this whole butterfly operation thing. Now, normally, if you guys don't know, the task force that she always used is a secret task force. So it's really interesting that she revealed the plans that is happening with all these butterflies and things that's happening in the show. So it's really interesting that she wanted that. I guess did she want Peacemaker to find that diary, and did she want him to read it and to him to react? Like I thought the diary was gonna be a little bit more major than what happened, but eventually, and then on top of that, for some odd reason, because I thought because Murn is a butterfly. I always thought Captain Locke was a butterfly until we saw that scene when the butterfly went in his mouth, and I was like, wait, so he wasn't a butterfly, even though he acted like one, like he showed low emotions every time he talked. Really, really interesting about that. I always thought he was a butterfly already, but now that he got affected again, which is really, really interesting. But now it showed that Leota and Peacemaker, both of them freaking out about this whole diary situation, and now basically Peacemaker is a world level threat because of the whole diary because they're trying to make it I don't know if she's trying to plan the whole thing and make it seem like it was all Peacemaker's fault, but now Captain Lock coming out with that, now they're gonna put a lot of eyes on Peacemaker. Now he's like most wanted guy right now in I don't know what village they're in. I forgot village. I forgot what city they're in. But he's world level threat right now, basically. But anyways, guys, that's pretty much it when it comes down to episode 6. Murn, after reading pretty major thing that's happening, man. I just can't wait for the next episode, man. It's so sad that there's only 2 episodes left and the show's about to end. But I'm having a blast watching it regardless. Hopefully James Gunn could be done with Guardians and just go back to directing Peacemaker season 2 or another Suicide Squad movie or whatever the hell he wants to do. I'm all for it. I would love to see one of the Suicide characters show up as well, possibly like Ratcatcher, maybe Weasel. I don't know. I want one of them to show up as well. Maybe King Shark. Who knows? But anyways, guys, that's pretty much it for this episode review breakdown. Basically, is what I like to call these. I don't really know what to call them, basically. But I'm having a blast watching it. Let me know in the comment section if you guys are loving this episode or season as well. What do you guys think is gonna happen? You think, as I said, the clash between White Dragon and the butterflies, like you think that's gonna eventually happen? Let me know in the comment section what you guys thought about it as well. But that's pretty much it. That's all I got for you guys today. Hope you guys have a wonderful, amazing day, and see you guys later.